Bleeding purple and gold. From the heart of Los Angeles, this is the LakersNation.com podcast with your host, Trevor Lane.
Welcome to today's show. As always, we are powered by CLNS Media and LakersNation.com. Well, we are all counting down the hours before free agency begins tonight. I've brought in Jordan Schultz of Yahoo Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Schultz_report. NBA Insider always has a ton of great info. Jordan, how you doing, man?
Trevor, I'm doing real well. Definitely a busy time, but it's an enjoyable process, if not calm, to say the least.
Well, yeah, I mean, you as you can imagine, Lakers fans are about losing their minds at this point with all the different rumors flying around about LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know if you saw this, but people were actually tracking LeBron's plane into Los Angeles this morning.
I saw that. Was that like a private flight? And do we know if that was actually accurate? Because I saw that, Trevor, and I thought, somebody could just easily find some random flight pattern from Antigua or whatever it was and say, yeah, that's LeBron.
Yeah, I think I saw something just a bit ago where they were confirming that it actually was his flight and that he did come in. So whoever did that I think it was NBA Reddit that first found it, that did that sleuthing, did a pretty good job. But yeah, it looks like LeBron is indeed in Los Angeles, although maybe that doesn't mean anything because he's got two houses there. But still, interesting little factoid.
Well, I've said for a while now, Trevor, as you know, that I think LeBron's going to be a Laker. I think it makes the most sense for everything he wants in terms of winning, because I believe that they're going to be able to build a contender around him. And I think also with being in LA and at 33, thinking about some of the other opportunities that, post-basketball or aside from basketball that we know matter to him. And I've talked a lot about it, about, using Magic as a blueprint for building an iconic global brand. And he's done a lot of that. But when you're in LA, and if you can win in LA, it's a whole different level. And I just think for LeBron, being such a keen basketball historian, he knows what it's like when guys like Jerry West or Elgin Baylor or Kareem or Kobe, when they win in LA, it's different. And that's something I think is very attractive to LeBron and really any player that's in the free agency process.
Jordan, one of the things that we've been hearing is that LeBron may need Kawhi Leonard already involved with the Lakers before he'll sign on, but then we've heard conflicting reports saying that's not the case. What are you hearing? Does Kawhi Leonard need to be traded to the Lakers in order for LeBron to come to LA?
No, he doesn't. I think it helps because obviously if Ron goes knowing that Kawhi is there, that's a huge boost, and that's why I think it was important. When I reported, I think 2 days ago it was, that Kawhi reached out to LeBron and said, hey, I want to play with you. I think I can alleviate a lot of the defensive pressure. And I think taking it a step further with Kawhi, because he's such a good catch-and-shoot guy, he tied KD 2 years ago in catch-and-shoot percentage, and he was 38% in threes. He's great corner threes. He's the ideal complement to play off of LeBron. But, no, he doesn't have to be there for LeBron to go there. I don't think it's one or the other. I think that's the biggest hesitation with the Spurs. Obviously, they don't want to trade him in the West if they don't have to, but they also don't want to just give away this entire conference and league to LA by saying, hey, we're going to give the Lakers Kawhi because we know that's going to get LeBron, potentially PG, and all of a sudden the West is now three-team dominant. So to me, the Spurs are in a somewhat of a tricky spot. There's no rush for them. They have technically until February 19th with the trading deadline, but I don't see them taking that long. I've said for a while, too, I thought Kawhi would be a Laker, and, I think that will happen, although not in the super foreseeable future here.
So you think that's going to go down, but how do you see this? It seems like there's a leverage battle here between the Lakers and the Spurs, where the Lakers are treating Kawhi, or at least on the outside, look like they're considering Kawhi as almost like a distressed asset because of his injury and the fact that he only played 9 games last year, whereas the Spurs see Kawhi as the golden ticket that's going to get them LeBron James and form a super team, and so they're going to want a lot for that. When a trade eventually comes together, how much do you see the Lakers having to pay when it's all said and done?
Having to give up, you're saying?
Right, yeah.
For Kawhi? Well, they've made Brandon Ingram available. I think there's nobody off limits on that team. The thing about the Lakers is that because they have this wealth of young talent, specifically with Kuzma and Ingram, and if you believe in Ball, him as well, that's a hell of a trio that is just getting started. There is hesitation from, I think Laker fans saying that, we don't want to give up all these young guys. But if you can give up Ingram and a couple picks, or Kuzma and a couple picks, something in that, along those lines, to me it's worth it. Because Kawhi is from LA. If you're the Lakers, look at Paul George last summer, Trevor, that if you have cap, it doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to get somebody. And I think if you have Kawhi in your building for a year, you would have to feel pretty good that you'd be able to retain him long term. And obviously the Spurs are asking a king's ransom, as they should, knowing full well that it's almost impossible to get 100 cents on the dollar when you trade a superstar. And you can look at it, really any superstar that's been traded, especially last summer with Kyrie and Isaiah Thomas.
A lot of the question marks about these Kawhi trades is, if not the Lakers, then who? And we've heard the Boston Celtics name get floated out there. We've heard the Philadelphia 76ers. But it's been pretty quiet from Kawhi's camp, and that's not surprising. But is Kawhi indeed telling other teams that he won't re-sign with them in 2019, that he's only going to sign in Los Angeles? Do you know if that's taking place?
I don't think – this is not reporting. I don't think Kawhi has had any substantial dialogue with any of these teams. I feel like I would have heard that by now. I think everybody would have heard some rumblings of that, and the fact that we haven't says a lot. I mean, if you look at Oklahoma City, you don't have to make a trade and talk to the player you're acquiring before. I mean, Oklahoma City last year, when they got Paul George, they didn't even talk to him or his camp. And they just assumed it would be okay, and maybe it will be with this long-term potential. But they don't have to. Teams don't have to talk to Kawhi or his agent or his uncle just because they're going to trade it for him. The opportunity to get a player of that magnitude, if you're going to give up as much as the San Antonio Spurs want, then you better be pretty confident you can re-sign him. But nobody's going to make this kind of trade thinking that they're getting Kawhi for 1 year. Whoever makes the trade is going to believe full-heartedly that they're going to get him long-term.
Now, you mentioned Paul George and that whole situation being similar to what happened with, or what's going on right now with Kawhi Leonard. What are you hearing about the George situation? Because right now, Lakers fans are hearing a lot of pessimistic things in the media about George potentially coming to Los Angeles, sounding more like he stays with Oklahoma City.
Yeah, you know what? It's peculiar in the sense that, again, another LA guy that was, like Kawhi, not recruited by the big schools, and has an opportunity now in his 9th year to go home and, be a great Laker. And it's really surprising that I think he's in this position that it's not this easy. There's so much misinformation and mistrust. I'll tell you that I'll have a much better sense in the next few hours on that. I wish I could give you more. Now, other than this, he's been working out with Russell Westbrook. He has a good rapport there. The problem with the Thunder is that they don't, forget them being a small market, they don't have, Trevor, any opportunity to get really any better because they're totally committed to Westbrook and Adams with 2 massive deals. Adams' deal is totally inflated. I mean, he's a good player, but it's inflated. And then if you bring PG back, I mean, they are totally capped out. Like we talk about Cleveland being over the tax line, $101 million, even without LeBron. The Thunder have like $70-something million committed to Westbrook and Adams just for next year. So it doesn't make sense for me for him to want to come back. And if I'm a Laker fan, I'm just hoping that the lure of LA and the Staples Center with Magic and just knowing how great it is when that place is rocking, and the lure of being a great Laker, I'm hoping that does the trick.
And if LeBron was in the fold too, that has to hold some sway. I mean, especially with how much Paul George has talked about wanting to win a championship.
Right. I mean, he's never really, he's been on some good Indiana teams, but he has not been to an NBA Finals. He's a legitimate, top 15 at worst NBA player who's in his prime, and it's got to be frustrating for him to continually come up short in the playoffs. In the last 2 playoff games, I tweeted this out a while back, but his last 2 elimination games, he really struggled. And I think Paul George is a fantastic player. And as you know, I do a podcast with CJ McCollum. He's always talking about, just how skilled PG is and how good he is on and off the ball. But I think the opportunity potentially to, for example, play with LeBron, we know he's comfortable playing second fiddle or playing, a Robin to Russell Westbrook's Batman. Take it to LeBron's level where, he's going to get so many open looks as a knockdown shooter, which is what LeBron needs. And to me, it makes the most sense for them two to be together in LA.
That's right. We would definitely want to mention for everybody to go make sure they check out Jordan's podcast with CJ McCollum. It's called Pull Up. You can find that on iTunes. Anywhere else that you want to direct people to go find the pod?
No, iTunes is perfect. Spotify, it's on my Twitter at Schultz_report. CJ is always hyping it up. It's a fun podcast because CJ's got a really good pulse on the league. And by the way, Trevor, I should say that CJ has said, he said this week, LeBron's going to LA and he's taking PG with him. So that says a lot to me. I know Oklahoma City can offer, I think it's a 5-year, $176 million deal, if I'm not mistaken. But listen, the Lakers are different, and he's getting close to that 10-year, special max.
Right.
And, oh man, if I'm Paul George, it's really hard for me to say no to the Lakers.
Well, Lakers fans have got to be out there listening to this. I've got to be smiling out there and hoping that you are indeed right. Jordan, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I know it's a really busy time of year, and things are going to get even crazier once free agency begins.
Yeah, I'll have a better sense of PG, like I said, in the coming hours here. Hopefully be able to get some new reports out there. But listen, the Lakers are in a good spot, Trevor. They haven't been relevant, and we know in 5 years. Either way, they got great young talent, and that's a big deal. So if I'm a Laker fan, I'm feeling pretty good right now. So I appreciate you having me on.
I've been saying the same thing, man, and yeah, we definitely appreciate you having you coming on here, and we'll have to have you on again soon, as soon as all the dust settles.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Trevor.
All right, have a good one.
You too, buddy. Bye.
Great stuff there from Jordan Schultz from Yahoo Sports. Always great to get his inside take on what's going on in the NBA. We'll have to have him on more often. Now, I do want to address a breaking news story that came out just a little bit ago. Ivica Zubac saw his team option for next season picked up, but a lot of Lakers fans are really scratching their heads right now because shortly after doing that, the Lakers decided to go ahead and waive Thomas Bryant. And that was a big surprise. Thomas Bryant had a phenomenal season last season in the G League for the South Bay Lakers. He was first team All G League. He was picked in the 2017 draft because of how well he runs the floor and shoots the ball from outside. Those are two things that the Lakers really, really need, whereas Ivica Zubac is a slower, more traditional style center, doesn't shoot threes, can protect the rim a bit, has a soft touch at the basket, but did not have a very successful season last year, at least compared to what people thought he was going to be after he had a strong rookie season. So it was definitely a surprise to see that the Lakers went with Zubac over Bryant. And I can't give a real explanation for why they did that at this point, but we can at least break down the numbers a little bit. Ivica Zubac, his 2018-2019 salary will be just over $1.5 million. And on the surface, that's kind of confusing because, well, the Lakers are going to need all the cap space they can get to chase after these max free agents, right? Well, in fact, there's something in the NBA called an open roster slot charge. And for every player, every open roster spot that you have, up to 12 players on your team, then you are charged $815,000. So if you have 7 players on your roster, that leaves you 5 open slots that you will receive that $815,000 plus charge for. So for Ivica Zubac, because they would be hit by that open roster slot charge, the savings isn't $1.5 million. It's not like the Lakers would suddenly have $1.5 million extra in cap space in order to go chase somebody. In fact, it's only a difference of about $700,000, which isn't that much. And considering the rookie year that Zubac had, you can make an argument that it's worth that gamble. It's worth that few $100,000, $700,000 gamble to go ahead and bring him back and hope that he kind of recaptures his form from his rookie year. However, doing so at the expense of Bryant is where it gets a little confusing. Bryant, his salary would have been $1.4 million, just under $1.4 million, so a little bit less than Zubac. Again, not a lot, but a little bit. And that open roster slot charge definitely would still be a factor. So the Lakers would have saved about $600,000 on that, or pay about $600,000 more by having Thomas Bryant on the roster. So again, why did the Lakers do that? Well, you know what? Arash Markazi of ESPN just tweeted this out and mentioned it, and it's pretty on point. A lot of times when you look at a move like this and it doesn't make sense at first on the outset, it's because there's something else going on. There's something else that's going to happen. There's something else coming. Maybe there's a team out there that really likes Zubac and likes his style of play, sees him like some people did as a young Marc Gasol style player, and wants to have him, and there's going to be a trade coming up. That's always possible. There could be a lot of factors going on here. We know Thomas Bryant did just sprain his ankle in his first summer league practice. It's also possible that the Lakers are hoping that Thomas Bryant clears waivers and they can bring him back. Of course, they took that gamble with David Nwaba last year, and it did not work out when they signed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They had to waive David Nwaba, and now David Nwaba is with the Chicago Bulls and played pretty well last season. So it could be a gamble the Lakers are taking. They're doing the same thing again and hoping they can bring Bryant back. But we'll just have to wait and see. Again, on the surface, this move doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense. But my guess is Rob Pelinka and Magic Johnson have something else up their sleeves that is going to bring clarity to this whole situation. That's going to do it for today. At this point, we are just hours away from the start of free agency. Don't forget, it starts at 12:01 Eastern time on July 1st, which for those of us here on the West Coast, that means it starts at 9:01 p.m. on June 30th. So that'll be tonight. So just after 9 o'clock, be checking Twitter, NBA Reddit, all those different places, looking for the news. And of course, guys, for all the latest news and analysis, make sure you head over to LakersNation.com. My name is Trevor Lane. You can follow me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane. See ya.